Hello and welcome to Complexity Limits Guide to the heroic Kael'thas encounter, written and produced by Crzypck in coordination with Complexity Limit, presented by Herman Miller. Kael'thas is a single-phase fight with a special add that'll spawn twice throughout the encounter. It's a similar overall fight style to Valeithria Dreamwalker, if you remember that from way back in ICC. Instead of killing a boss, your goal here is actually to heal Kael'thas from 10% up to 100%. There's a variety of adds that'll be spawning to try and stop you from accomplishing this. Kael'thas himself is chained up on a ledge at the very front of the room and can be directly healed. Let's start by going over the types of recurring adds. Bleakwing Assassins will port behind a random player, indicated by a red circle, and then do a flurry at them. This hits anyone in an 8-yard cone. Don't stand in this, it hurts. If an assassin lives long enough to reach full energy, they'll turn to stone for 8 seconds and regenerate back to full health. Probably don't let this happen. Seems like something that might be bad. Vile Occultists cast Vulgar Brand, a small AoE to the whole raid that also applies a debuff, increasing your damage taken. Interrupt. If you miss one, the debuff is also dispellable. They'll also cast Scornful Blast, which is your basic casted ability, deals mild damage, and cannot be interrupted. Lastly, they'll periodically port themselves around the room just to try to get away from you. Rockbound Vanquishers will do a tank smack that deals mild damage and applies a dot. Tanks should not let themselves get more than 3 stacks of this, so you'll need to taunt swap as needed. They'll also do Concussive Smash, which deals mild damage to the whole raid and increases their own damage done by 25%, stacking. Soul Infusers will run directly to the front of the room and start draining Kael'thas' health. These should be nuked down as quickly as possible. They're the single most important add for you to kill. As a note, these cannot be hard CC'd, but they can be slowed and stunned. You should do this to prevent them from ever reaching the front, which means they'll never have drained any health from Kael'thas. Lastly, Pestering Fiends are these little buggers that'll throw rubies at random people, dealing light damage within 3 yards. When they die, they'll actually explode and deal mild damage within a 7-yard radius. You'll begin the encounter by fighting 2 Bleakwing Assassins, 4 Vile Occultists, and a larger add called High Torture Darethos. This guy will cast Greater Castigation at a few players, which deals damage to them and anyone else within 6 yards. You'll just need to move away from the targeted people. And he doesn't really do much other than that. You'll want to group all of the starting mobs together and blow them up. At a little over a minute into the fight, you'll get a set of Pestering Fiends, then a set of Soul Infusers, then a Vanquisher. And after that, you'll just have regular spawns of adds every 20 to 30 seconds. While you're dealing with these adds, there's a few mechanics that'll help you heal Kael'thas more efficiently. First up are the 4 pedestals at the front of the room. Clicking one will channel your health into Kael'thas. Whenever there aren't adds to be killed, DPS should be using these. As a note, moving or using any ability will break the channel, and there's a 2-minute debuff preventing you from using it again. Another thing to know, you are channeling your health, meaning it's draining your health every tick. Your healers need to keep you alive. Next up, when a Vile Occultist dies, they'll drop an Essence Font. If you successfully heal an Essence Font up to full health, then Kael'thas will gain a chunk of his health back. The fonts themselves will decay over time, so healers should immediately start focusing them and heal them to full as quickly as you can. Lastly, Soul Infusers drop an Infuser's Orb when they die. Clicking the orb increases your healing by 50% for 14 seconds. This affects stacks, and each new stack you get also refreshes your original duration. You should assign 1 healer to get these orbs, and they should aim to run over the new orb with 2 to 3 seconds left on the buff. This will help maximize both uptime and pure throughput. We found having 1 or 2 healers assigned to hard focus healing Kael'thas helped speed up the fight quite a bit, so have your strongest single target healer doing that. Paladins can put a beacon on Kael'thas, by the way, and get full efficiency out of it for the entire fight. Once Kael'thas reaches 45% health, a Shade of Kael'thas will spawn, and regular Kael'thas cannot be healed until the Shade is defeated. No other adds will spawn while you're fighting the Shade. The Shade will always have the inverse health as Kael'thas, so it'll spawn at 55%. As it takes damage, Kael'thas himself's health will go up, so you need to deal 10% health as damage to the Shade for it to be defeated and disappear. Naturally, it has a bunch of abilities to try and kill you. Many of these will drop a permanent puddle of fire, and as such, you're going to want to move the first Shade you get over to the east side of the room immediately. This will help consolidate the puddles on that side, leaving the rest of the room open. Now, let's go over all of the abilities. Fiery Strike is a big frontal cone ability that deals mild damage and applies a 15-second dot. The tanks will want to swap at about 3 stacks of this. Ember Blast is a typical meteor type ability. This will deal massive damage, but it's split between everyone hit. It also applies a total of 6 stacks of a 15-second dot, split evenly among everyone hit. We recommend the target just run into melee, and at least 4 people be hit by this. It'll leave a puddle of fire on the ground, don't stand in the fire. At 100 energy, the Shade will cast Blazing Surge at a random player, which is a massive cone of fire. If you're hit by this, it deals a large amount of damage and will leave multiple fire puddles on the ground. Make sure you dodge this if you are not the target. Now, would it really be a Kael'thas encounter without phoenixes? No, of course not. The Shade is going to spawn 3 phoenixes that'll fixate random players and frequently pulse fire damage within 6 yards of themselves. Each pulse will also leave a puddle of fire. When a phoenix is killed, it'll turn into a pile of ash and heal itself over 20 seconds. After that time, it'll pop back up and start chasing people again. The fixated players during the first Shade should make sure they stay on the eastern side of the room, which will help keep as many of the fire puddles on that side as possible and out of your way. Once you've nuked 10% off the Shade, it'll despawn and you'll start getting waves of those normal adds again. From here, the fight is really just rinse and repeat. Adds keep coming, you keep killing them, you keep healing Kael'thas until he reaches 90%. At that point, the second Shade will spawn at 10% health. This works just like the first one. You're going to want to lust here, blow it up as quickly as possible, and when that Shade's health hits 0, you win. Go collect your sweet, sweet epics and move on to the next fight. Thanks for checking out our video. Now that you know how to kill the boss, be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for the rest of our guides, kill videos, and a whole lot more.